Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here at Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour podcast.
Yes, hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 252. We have us a special episode tonight for two reasons. So, we have some guests tonight. We are not only going international, but we have a guest setting a record as a recurring guest as well. So, first up, coming to us from the UK, you know him as Fudj. He is the man himself from PaletteSwap. Actually, both of these guys are from PaletteSwap. First up, we got Brad. Brad, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, thank you. It's 11:30 or going on midnight my time here, so I'm going to be relatively quiet and reserved for the sake of the other people in my house until the part we talk about hard drive management where I'll get really loud and angry.
Yes!
Because that's content, and we're here for content, baby.
What we like to hear. And also, making his fifth appearance on the Power Hour. Actually, pretty soon to be formally of Thought Cops and also one of the heads behind PaletteSwap. He is the one and only Kevin POTUS. Kevin, how you doing, man?
What's going on, guys? 5 times. I can't believe it.
Yep, you and our buddy Blade are tied for the top spot.
Ooh, now there's a competition. It's like that 5-timer SNL club. I got to get the jacket or whatever they give out. You guys have a jacket for me?
Oh, we can make you some pins, something.
Okay, that'll work.
We ain't fancy enough to be making no jackets. Come on.
That's fine. That's fine.
He's gonna jump into the Zoom call impromptu like he's cashing in the money in the bank. Be like,
Exactly.
Nah, my record, bitch. 6 time, baby.
We're just gonna have you and Blade go against each other in a game and determine who's the champion.
I'm going against a guy named Blade, though. That's kind of scary.
He's as gentle as can be, though. But what do you call it? Actually, if you guys need to have a competition going here, just make a video out of your Final Fantasy list you just put out there. Go viral again, and we'll have you right on again to glom onto your fame.
Yeah, people seemed upset by that, but people get upset at lists in general. Like, it's not even like the fact that they hate the format, but just seeing anything in a list that's not exactly how they want it, it gets people angry, but it also gets people talking, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
No, even the PaletteSwap Discord itself just blew up once you put that list out. They're like, wait, this is where? It's what?
So, gents, well, as Jim said, you guys of PaletteSwap, pretty new, just started at the beginning of March. So why don't you give them a little taste of what they can expect? Because I've been going through the site, but I want to come from your
of course.
mouth so I don't fuck it up.
So Brad and I created it with a handful of other hard drive alums, Joe Talleli, Parker Johnson, Ian Vafflor, Jake Menez.
Jake
we got a lot of really, really great people on staff, and I think we were even talking about it for even Jake and I were talking about it even last year, at one point. But I think that at some, we weren't really vibing with how things were going there, and then everything happened on Twitter, as you guys probably saw, and we just decided to start something new, and then the ideas just quickly started snowballing, and it was like, okay, we have to do this. Everything was just kind of coming together very quickly, and I think that what we did at Hard Drive, I don't know if you guys remember Minus World at Hard Drive.
Oh,
it was kind of like a smaller part of the site. It was like the non-satirical features and stuff, because I've written, and some of us have written for other websites doing non-comedy gaming journalism, I guess. And that's kind of what we decided on with PaletteSwap. Is the gimmick is it swaps between two different sides of the site, and we have our satire pieces and our non-satire pieces, and it's kind of a fun gimmick. It's to an extent Hard Drive dabbled in it with Minus World, but we're kind of taking it to a new level where it's closer to a 50-50 split of comedy and features, but the features are also meant to be entertaining and funny sometimes in their own right. It's kind of you get something out of it's kind of you might get a laugh out of reading about something that's not a satire piece, and you might just learn something too.
Yeah, when I was looking at the site, I said I do love that idea, and I'm really curious. I love when new ideas come up. Did you know from the get-go that's what you were aiming at doing this dual thing? Or was the name kind of a signifier of your format? How'd that even come to be?
Actually, believe it or not, the concept did come first, because that almost does sound like the name was so good we kind of built the concept after, but we were kind of toying with the idea of having it be a split thing. and it was called something else before. I don't remember what, but then I think
we were gonna go with Demastered. I think
that was it. Yeah, and I was kind of like,
yeah,
not sure how I felt about that because we were kind of like, okay, we all knew we wanted to kind of go for like a retro gaming magazine look, which is something that like Joe over at the site has really mastered this look for all the images on the site, because if you scroll through, everything looks like it's almost like scanned in from like an old EGM or Nintendo Power issue. And I think that,
it's so good.
yeah, people, and because we're like, people miss reading magazines, and there's so much like websites out there, but here's one, it's like, okay, we get you in the door, and it's almost like you're kind of like, it's like you're thumbing through the pages of an old magazine. And like that, I feel like people like that sort of tangible look to it. So we ended up coming up with the concept, and then the name. I think Joe came up with the name. It was like, what if we just called it this? And it was a kind of a dual meaning. So it was like, okay, yeah, we're going to go with that. And like, I think he even had the little controller already made, because he had it. I think he was going to maybe use it for something else later.
Yeah.
But then everything, like I said, everything was coming together so fast. It was like, it was very easy to be excited about it very quickly, because, you know, it just was like we all were kind of coming at it with a lot of different expertise, which I know Brad can elaborate on. You know, obviously we have our YouTube channel and stuff, so that's the other big, because our website's one thing, but the YouTube channel, Brad, you want to talk about the big video we had released recently?
Yeah. Literally just last week, we uploaded. I uploaded a guide to Baldur's Gate 3 for freaks to the YouTube channel. Put that thing together in a fucking ungodly amount of time. It's over an hour long.
Epic. I was watching it earlier.
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Same.
I've never made a video an hour long aside from the N64 and Dreamcast lists at hard drive.
I mean, you've dabbled close. Like, even on your own page, you were like, what, 45 minutes talking about Advance Wars, the remake.
Yeah, pretty close, but never like breached the hour limit. And I basically said, all right, we're starting a YouTube channel from scratch. At the moment, YouTube has a fucking huge hard-on for length. You want to hit the algorithm, you make something that's 30 seconds long or 8 hours. You know, there's no fucking in between. So, all right, let's hit the hour limit. It's come out last week. I'm really happy about it. I'm really, really pleased with it. It's off to, touch wood, I don't want to jinx it. It's off to a really good fucking start. You know, we've barely got 1,000 subscribers, and it's already at 6,500 views, and still rocketing higher and higher. So we'll see what that does for us. But yeah, obviously I did YouTube stuff back at hard drive, and all the things I could say about that notwithstanding, I did have fun with it. I really, really enjoyed. I don't know. There's not a lot of places, especially now with the closure of things like Rooster Teeth and these other institutions. There's not a lot of places where you can get that genuinely good blend of like comedy and video games anymore. It's becoming increasingly hard, and that's what I'm excited about. That's what's fun to me is blending those two things. PaletteSwap is an amazing avenue for that. I love and respect all the people on the team. It seemed a natural fit to me. I was feeling pretty disenfranchised after having left hard drive, and I wasn't convinced that PaletteSwap could be its own thing and succeed. But the more I saw the writing on the wall, the more I saw some of the decisions being made for us as well, some of the decisions we were making, I was more on board, and I was like, fuck it, let's do it. And I think the important thing is we want this thing to stand on its own two legs and not talk about the past too much. And like, it's about PaletteSwap, baby. And I think with this first video, for example, we've already set the tone for like, this is the kind of shit you can expect. We've made a statement, and we've had a pretty good start. We haven't set the world on fire, but we had a pretty good start. And I think the people who are seeing our stuff and the people who our stuff is reaching are liking what they're seeing, or at least I certainly hope so.
Hell yeah. No, like obviously the YouTube stuff, I have a similar question. Like, so when I know we just said, you know, what you did with hard drive, but when you guys are collaborating on between the article and the video, are you helping write the article actively, or are you kind of taking the article and then just adapting it to your video?
So I haven't done anything based on an article for PaletteSwap yet, obviously, and so I think certainly for the first few months it's going to be entirely my stuff. So I wrote the Baldur's Gate video. I'm currently writing a video about the search for the apolitical video game. Talking about rankings, I've got this ridiculous fucking project coming up where I'm trying to make a top 100 games of all time list based entirely on like the general consensus, like absorb every opinion and try and make an objective list as one guy, which would be really fun.
So who gives a fuck about subjectivity anymore, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
I mean, Sweet Baby has the gun to the back of his head, so, you know, it's all in the works anyway.
I promise you, it's gonna be woke. Yeah, I did a lot of article to video stuff back at Hard Drive just because we had this vault of like amazing, funny jokes, and I was like, we wanted to be on YouTube Shorts and TikTok because, unfortunately, as much as I personally am not a fan of the short form stuff, but you got to be there. You know, it's where a lot of stuff is going on right now, and the easiest thing for that was to transcribe articles, and so I would basically just pull from a vault, be like, this will make for a funny video, and off we go, you know. But aside from that, I never really did anything. I pretty much exclusively did shorts and TikToks based on people's articles for them back in the day, and all of the big main stuff that went up was all my work. With one exception, I did. Kyle Duggan wrote this amazing every Stardew Valley resident ranked by how likely they would be to give you drugs, and I did a video version of that because that was too good. I like that too much.
Yeah, that was great.
Well, guys, I mean, I guess before we go any further, where can everyone find you? What should they be subscribing to? And just show out your Patreon, everything.
Yeah, we're at PaletteSwap Mag on everything except for Facebook. That's PaletteSwap Magazine. But yeah, you can just find us at PaletteSwap Mag on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, YouTube. Also at PaletteSwap Mag.
I think we're technically
TikTok.
I think we're technically just PaletteSwap on YouTube. It's weird. Like if you type in PaletteSwap, you get us, but then our full channel URL is something like PaletteSwap Mag. But either one should work.
Okay, cool. But yeah, we are like really close to, I think, like 4,000 followers on Twitter. So definitely give us a follow over there at PaletteSwap Mag. Share our stuff. Then yeah, if you like what we do, you know, we're patreon.com/PaletteSwapMag. Got a lot of cool stuff over there because, you know, Brad and I and Parker and others also fought very hard for a Patreon at Hard Drive, and now we wanted to kind of launch out of the gate with one here. We got a lot of exciting, fun stuff, and, you know, like Parker was saying, or sorry, Brad was saying, there's just like so much, you know, closures, and everybody's like shutting down now, and it just really feels like the vultures have come out this year, and they're just like decimating all these publications that are like, okay, we bought this, we don't need it now, we're just gonna let it go, you know. I mean, you know, you mentioned Rooster Teeth. I mean, I think Sports Illustrated is shutting down.
There was another one last night,
Deadspin
or something.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like all these institutions are just shutting down, and it really does feel like, you know, we're in an era where this is the only way that this kind of stuff can exist. And of course, it's like it kind of does come down to like crowdfunding. So like patreon.com/PaletteSwapMag. You're going to get good stuff in there. Like, obviously, just give us a follow if, you know, that's free, but we got a lot of fun stuff in there.
We're taking the Patreon very seriously. Like, we're a week and a half in, and we've already delivered on like every promise, every pledge, and we're going to keep doing that. We've got weekly Patreon exclusive lists you can vote on. So yes, you could have prevented that Final Fantasy VIII placement on the Final Fantasy list, but you weren't there. So sort that out, because what the fuck was that doing up there?
True.
You know, you can get early video access. I put people's names in the credits of the videos. You can get your names in our articles. Tons of cool shit. We're really putting a lot into this. Because, yeah, as Kevin says, it's sad to say, but fan funding does kind of seem like the way of the future. We're trying to get ahead of the curve on that a little bit. And if you believe in this, if you believe in video game satire and comedy, which is kind of a dying breed, and also like some genuine journalistic integrity for some really good, fucking funny, charming writers, and the images, man, oh my god, Kevin talked about them, but the image quality, like we have Joe Lilly is putting some serious like artistic fucking finesse into these images. They're like gorgeous. Like we could run a Patreon on some of these fucking image jobs alone. I think we could justify that, but that's just like an add-on to the joke.
For real, like if you guys like are out there like miss like just like thumbing through old magazines, like I think this is the closest thing to that in the modern day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, there's jokes about, you know, cum and dicks and
right. Of course, we got to put that in there.
Yeah,
and don't poo-poo the positive or the serious side either. I mean, if you've ever left a nasty comment on a Nintendo Life article about a guy who needed gaming to get through COVID, I mean, you might have experienced one of these guys here before.
Yeah, maybe you went to my Instagram and commented on all of my photos because I wrote something that you didn't like about fucking Stardew Valley. Swear to God, man.
Well,
it's like, what a nice article. What the fuck?
let me put it out there. All their links are below. Please go follow them. We already are. Obviously, we want to see these guys keep launching in the atmosphere. I love the content already, and as we said,
Thanks,
it
man.
just started in March. So make sure, give them a like, give them a follow on all the links below. But gents, the real question I have now is, Brad, you're up extra late with us. Are either of you two being degenerates and drinking with us tonight?
I'm actually not. I have an Oasis here. I don't know if you guys have Oasis over in the States. It's good stuff. I'm not
Great
a
band.
big.
Yeah.
I'm not a beer guy. My dad is like a huge. I almost said alcoholic there. He's not, but he might as well be. And he tried to get me into beer, and it wasn't my kind of thing. I can recommend you guys some nice cocktails if you're ever in the market.
Okay.
I'm a pina colada kind of guy.
All right.
Always down.
What about you, Kev?
Well, I don't know if you guys want to go first, because I think that my drink is, I saw it at the store today, and I'm like, this is the perfect segue for tonight's show, so I'm going to wait to reveal it.
Okay. Ooh. All right. Chambers, what are you starting with tonight?
So I am starting with, from Trogs, one of our all-time favorite breweries, their triple golden ale, I'm going to assume it's La Grave. They're being fancy, or at the very least La Grave.
La Grave.
Lagrave. 8% alcohol by volume, 31 IBU, so definitely on the softer side. And I'm drinking this because my wife actually recently for my birthday got me a new beer cup, gaming related, so I don't know how well it looks on here.
Oh, is that Sonic?
That's Sonic 1.
Oh, that is
All
really
across it.
cool.
That's neat.
So this comes from the little company called Tipple Glass. So they say to show your favorite tipple with the glass, so I'm having a triple with my tipple.
You just had to do it for the wordplay, didn't you?
It's the only time I've been clever in 200 episodes.
He was
God.
really excited to say that.
I was doing it
This
all
whole
day.
episode has been building up to that.
I'm actually going
He's
to log
been
off
writing
now.
shit on the side. He's like, oh, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get them to show for us, Brian. Shut the fuck up.
Shut up.
I'm keeping it super simple tonight. I'm going with Guinness. It's already on in my second can. Obviously, the easiest go-to beer that I have. So, yeah, that's what happens when you're on prednisone and other bullshit for nerve issues. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to go too heavy with the alcohol tonight, and it is Random Tuesday, so, you know, I had to adjust.
Oh, like
But
that.
Guinness-
Random
Stop you before.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
I haven't had
Yeah.
a Guinness in forever. That made just seeing that glass with that that dark liquid and that foam at the top. I'm like, that looks so fucking good.
Oh, dude, it's
You sounded very British right now, Kevin.
Well,
Kev, was that like love at first sip? Were you like us, or actually me, where I was like, this is disgusting, and then eventually, like after getting into craft beer, it's like, oh my god, this is so light. I can't even believe why I hated it before.
I've always loved it. Ever since I first had Guinness, that's one of my all-time favorite beers.
It's because you're a man of taste, unlike Jim.
I do love my trash beer. I own
He's got his
2 Keystone
tipsters.
flags.
Now, what you got, Kev? Because you piqued my curiosity.
Yeah. Okay. So this is not a beer. This is not alcohol.
Okay.
But I saw this at the store, and I saw your Google Doc, and I think just given I'm gonna crack one open tonight for a legend, a hero, someone that's meant a lot to a lot of people. And I think that was pretty clear this past week. We saw a lot of tribute to Akira Toriyama, and I'm drinking
Yes.
out of a Dragon Ball Z Spirit Bomb energy drink can. This gives me the power of Goku.
Channeling
it's
all
good.
the energy to make it through this episode.
Yes.
But yes, I mean, as you said, man, like what a goddamn shocker. Like
Yeah.
just out of goddamn nowhere. And he's a guy who meant, I think, a lot to 3/4 of this podcast. I know Brian, I don't think has ever watched a single second of anything Dragon Ball
Nope.
related.
Nothing.
You ever play Dragon Quest? Chrono Trigger?
Played, yes. Finished, no.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, here's the deal. The joke for a while was Jim was supposed to give me a tier list of Dragon Ball characters, and just based on their looks, I was going to rank them and probably get a lot of people really mad because I'm so out the loop. Like, I could name maybe 3 characters, but he fucked that up. So
No, I was saving it for a time when it would be topical, Brian. So now we have to do it.
exactly.
It wasn't just laziness. But Fudj, what was that? I heard you never delved into it either.
I'm afraid I'm pretty much in the same boat as Brian. Yeah, I'm not a JRPG guy, so I've never played Chrono Trigger or.
We
Dragon
know,
Quest.
Brad. We know.
Yeah. Less said about
After
that, the
my
better.
heart.
They're gonna come for me again.
Yeah.
I actually did play some of the Dragon Ball Z games growing up, and they were fucking sick, man. Budokai 1 and 2, if you've ever played the Budokai games, they fucking go crazy. And the Tenkaichi games are fun. But obviously, like, I don't feel like you have to have seen Dragon Ball or played Chrono Trigger or Dragon Quest to recognize that Toriyama is like a genuine titan of the industry. And for all that I haven't engaged in with his stuff, I did love his art as an onlooker. I saw a Twitter thread the other day about like his vehicles, the way he drew vehicles, these kind of like boxed in like soap shaped cars. I don't know, they're really fucking cool. Toriyama drew vehicles like in a really nice, charming way. He had a great art style that I really, really enjoyed.
Like as sad as it was, like I was like, again, it was shocking. He's not young, but he's not old. You know what I mean? He was 68. It was sad. It was one of those things when I forget where I saw it first, but I was like, no, you know, and I Googled it to make sure. I'm like, no. And I'm just like, you know, it was so, like I said, as sad as it was, like, I haven't seen anything quite like that where it felt like on Twitter that the culture war just entered a temporary ceasefire. Like, everybody
really
was
did.
just like, everybody across any walk of life, political spectrum, whatever, was just like, dude, rest in peace. This sucks.
It was the
And
fucking World War II Christmas Day armistice.
Yeah.
You know, the anime fans, the non-anime fans coming out the trenches, shaking hands, playing football.
And I'm realizing, like, I have artwork of him right behind me here. I have not one but two throw pillows in our living room here are Toriyama designs. I got the Dragon Quest slime, and then I got this for Christmas a long time ago. My brother got me. It's like a little pillow, and it's a recreation of the Super Nintendo cartridge for Chrono Trigger.
That is sick.
Yeah.
I love that. Also, you got the poster right behind you as well.
Yeah, I got that. That was from the box from the DS release of Chrono Trigger, which is an excellent game. The best. I think that's the consensus. That's like the best version of that game.
Chrono Trigger
Quality
is
of
one
life.
of the JRPGs that like tempts me. I do want to get to it one day, even despite my general
great.
aversion to the genre. I think it looks cool. I like the idea of it.
It's I
like
don't know.
the
It
frog.
really feels like it's the distillation of like all of that perfected right there. There's not a bunch of sequels. There technically is a pseudo sequel, but really I don't know how. I've actually never played it. But like,
Cross?
yeah, I've never played it. But like, this game it's so self-contained. The story is so dense, so interesting. Some of the greatest character designs ever. Like Frog from Chrono Trigger is just such an iconic look.
Yeah.
And just like, even like I have I also have this over here. I have this like collection of like Toriyama's one shots. It's like manga Akira Toriyama's manga theater, and it's just a lot of really cool stuff from like pre-Dragon Ball, like stuff that he drew, like I think even pre-Dr. Slump maybe, or post or something like that. But there's even if like it's just crazy, like seeing all the inside info of like how he, like, sure, Dragon Ball was popular across the world like crazy, but like the influence it has in so many things is like undeniable.
Well, you shared around like a cool thing, basically like the Shonen Jump magazine before Dr. Slump first debuted. And basically every character on there looked like a background character from Astro Boy. And then basically he hit the scene, and it was just like game-changing right out of the bat. Like so much life, so much expression, like kind of simple, but just like iconic design structure.
Yeah, a lot of that, like at least in that, I don't know if that was just like a cherry-picked example, but like, you know, a lot of manga has also been inspired by Osamu Tezuka, who like you said, created Astro Boy, and they had like this very retro look to it. And then Toriyama like basically invented the chibi art style and things. Like he just has so much, such a massive legacy. Even like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
I mean, like they even like there's like it's like a background info from like Sonic 2 where like they even like redrew the Goku panel when he first goes Super Saiyan, but with Sonic, because like that's an obvious parallel. They said that like the Sonic and Tails relationship was kind of like Piccolo and Gohan. They said it was like the direct like inspiration for how they kind of like wrote those characters or like conceived them to be. I'm pretty sure Shadow is supposed to be like Vegeta.
Yeah.
You know,
Probably.
Silver is Trunks. I know that for sure, but it's crazy. I mean, like even and I got my One Piece figurine back here. Well, probably wouldn't exist without Dragon Ball, and the creator of One Piece wrote a very heartfelt passing about Toriyama, and how much he meant to him, and like, all this stuff. And it was really like just seeing a lot of people like come out of the woodwork from all walks of life, not just anime or manga, to talk about like how they influenced them to be like athletes or like MMA fighters or artists or musicians, anything. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you can't like get into the show and like watch any of his work and not get like pumped up watching it and shit. Like, oh, I can be a badass too, and realize like, I'm not. But I can think it for a little while. I can pretend.
Yeah, exactly. It makes you want to be. It makes you feel like you could be.
It's like, oh, I can put on some weights and get real buff, and then I can also sit and eat Cheetos, and that's what I always wind up doing.
Yeah.
The thoughts there. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like you, man. Like, that blotch of white over here is just like 4 collections of Dragon Ball manga right there.
Nice.
And I'm not even a big anime or manga guy, but that's the stuff that I was just like consuming all the content for like a good while and a good chunk of my life. And even Brad, like you were saying, I think I spent an entire summer trying to 100% Dragon, what do you call it? Budokai 2. So going through that board game, like that slow ass board game setup they had again and again and again, hoping to get those random drops.
But the music, though, the board game might suck, but the music that's playing when you're on the board, like, fuck, I could.
Oh, dude, that
shit for
AMV
hours.
they made for the intro for it too.
Yeah,
Come on.
Oh yeah, I literally used some Budokai 3 music in the Baldur's Gate 3 video. Actually, it's in like the first 5 minutes. I think it's one of the tournament songs. I use the soundtracks to those games quite often because they're so fucking good, and they embody the spirit of Toriyama, I think, which is like just fun, hard rock, badass dudes having fun, being badass and shit.
What's so interesting about Dragon Ball is like how it didn't start that way. Like it was kind of like almost like a gag manga. Like it was like it was a comedy fighting series, and it always kind of is, but like it's a very, very interesting metamorphosis. Like I don't think anyone could get away with it after that because like he was just sort of like inventing a new genre basically. How it starts off like this goofy kind of like little story, like they collect the Dragon Balls pretty fucking quick, and then they scatter again, and it's like I feel like throughout the course of time the stories become a little bit more serious each time, and then obviously like the Z, or the anime Dragon Ball Z, but like the manga it's just Dragon Ball like through and through until like the end of the Buu saga. And I think like watching like there's also not a lot of anime that show a character's growth from like early childhood to like I think he's like 50 or 60 by the end or something. He's a grandpa, He's got a grandkid. That's not super common, and I think that's always been something that kind of stood out because you really watch him grow and like through his whole life.
And can like anyone consistently do the same trope through the course of like an entire media they make, and you still fall for it and love it every time? Where guy comes in, he's the new enemy. Goku fights him, they become friends, and they fight together after some like cool, awesome moment. Like it happened from like day one with like Yamcha, and it went all the way through to like goddamn Beerus today.
True. Yeah, they're still fucking doing stuff. I think that's what was so surprising was like Toriyama. I think he was involved in like the new movies too. The one just came out like I think a year ago or something.
Oh yeah, the Super one with Gohan and Piccolo or something or other.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I heard it was good. And then he also has like there's something coming out. I think it's called like Dragon Ball Daima, and it's like everybody gets turned into like little kids for some reason. But
they
like,
didn't want to call it GT2, huh?
No, I think there's too much stigma. So he wasn't involved with GT, but like he wrote this new one specifically, so it's going to be like a coming out after. I forget if it's posthumous, right? A posthumous release.
Yeah.
There is also another game coming out this year based on a Toriyama series, isn't there? Sandland, whatever it's called.
Yeah, Sandland, and then there was a movie for that. I think that like a animated movie came out. I think last year. I haven't seen it yet either, but like that one interests me because it's like kind of that's a post Dragon Ball like short story he wrote. Yeah. There's the movie, and then there's like the game coming out like in conjunction with it. I think. So, that's what it was so. Yeah, it was surprising. Like that, it felt like there was a lot of like Toriyama things happening right now. So it was just kind of shocking.
Yeah, and I mean, like you were saying, at least he made it to like 68. We've seen how many friggin' creators die in their like 50s and even younger at this point. Like, it sucks to say they worked themselves to death, basically. But Jesus,
I mean, that's like somebody posted. I think like there's like somebody, like a Japanese person on Twitter, like put together this diagram of like manga
the
artists.
life expectancy one?
Yeah, the life expectancy. Yeah. It's like 20 years shorter than like the average Japanese man.
It's fucked up. It's really
like they
up.
on average they pass away in their early 60s compared to like 82.
Yeah,
fuck.
I
think that's hopefully changing though.
Shit, man. You know.
I hope and pray that's changing. It seems like they're letting, like, for example, like Eiichiro Oda from One Piece. They're letting him take more breaks and stuff, and that's a guy who was like drawing manga in the hospital. You know, I think partially for the love of the game, but also, you know, there's such a fucking like the weekly grind. I mean, like for manga, it's like we think doing a podcast every week is hard. You fucking drawing a chapter every single week, that's rough, dude.
Yeah, like not to downplay like gaming crunch, but I'm sure like the manga guys are seeing these articles come out and they're going like pussies.
Yeah, right. And I think it's just you know, I hope it's changing, but it's also like, I don't know. It's interesting because like manga is like, I know they have like assistants and stuff, but it's very much like an auteur medium. I think that's kind of what sets it apart. It's so like creatively, for the most part, like one person like draws, writes everything, and then other people might like help out with like filling in backgrounds and stuff sometimes. You know, it's kind of sets it apart from other stuff.
Yeah, but it's also like kind of fucked because they have to pay their assistants basically out of their own money. So it's not like the publishers are helping them with that a lot either. So it's a labor of love, to say the damn least.
For real.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so we just want to give our thoughts and, you know, say rest in peace, Toriyama. Thank you for all the memories.
Rest in peace.
Can't wait to put the list together so Brian can piss off all the grieving fans.
Oh, yeah.
But speaking of his impact on games, I'm actually going to start this one because of his passing. I'm sure like a lot of people did. Wanted to jump into some Toriyama work. So I actually heard about the news while I was on a bachelor party in New Orleans. And I was drunk at a bar with everyone. I was like, we gotta be right back. I just ran to the bathroom and just went like, oh, fuck.
Oh my God.
The only person in like all of the goddamn bar in Bourbon Street who gave a shit, but
Jim, why are you crying?
It's nothing. It's like this when I drink.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like on the plane ride back, I was like, you know what? All right, I'm gonna start some Chrono Trigger. So that's a game that's been. I've tried it. Like I'm kind of like Fudj, where I kind of hate JRPGs and I bash them at almost opportunity I get. But I mean, I like games where stuff happens. I can't blame myself. Come on now. But so I tried it off, and I was actually like, I tried it a year ago or 2 years ago, and I got through the whole opening segment, got to the forest, and like fucked up and died, like something stupid, like a critical hit or something. And I was like, I don't feel like sitting through this hour of story again. So I didn't touch it. Went through it again on my little Miyu Mini Pocket emulator, and I was having a good time. And I had a connecting flight, so had the layover, going on the second one, and the ROM didn't feel like loading anymore. So I was like, God damn it, this game is cursed for me. So there's one day I just need to sit down and actually just like play it off my real cart and put some real time in. I will say I was actually like starting to get into it. That says a lot for a JRPG with me, but of course it was cursed. So then after that I played some Bionic Commando on the Game Boy and actually got through that. So. What about you guys?
What about you guys? What have you been playing this past week?
Very topically, I actually just finished Persona 3 Reload a few days ago because I like every so often to kind of go out my comfort zone and play something that I think I might not like. Like when Starfield came out, I was pretty confident I'd fucking hate that, and I thought it'd be funny if I played this, and I played it and I hated it. I played Persona 3 Reload, and I told myself I'd never played a Persona game before. I told myself no matter what happens, I will finish it. And I finished it about 58 hours, and it was fine. It was okay. You know, I get why people like it. It goes without saying, the UI and menus and the music and the like style and vibe of those games is incredible. I don't know if any team has ever been so far ahead of the curve on any one aspect of making games than Atlas are in terms of like UI and UX. Maybe like FromSoft and architecture, but texture. I get it. It was so tropey. When I tell you this game was tropey, I'm saying that I identified 5 of the main cast who had dead parents before the game started, and that was their tragic backstory. And then a 6th dies on screen in front of you. And I distinctly remember at one point thinking to myself, I just know for a fact there's going to be a character in this game whose whole personality is that he likes eating, he eats food, and that's going to be his whole thing. Guess who I fucking met 20 minutes later? You know, I was fucking predicting that game left, right, and center. I knew everything that was coming. It was
I think
fine.
that the thing about like JRPGs is like, this kind of goes for anime and manga too. You kind of have to like set your expectations, or like this is just kind of what it is. If I don't like it, I don't like it. But like you kind of, it just like there's like little things like that. I think that when you expect them, or like just know that these are like the mechanics and workings of how these are, you can kind of learn to come to appreciate them almost more. It's like, oh, there's this thing, you know, the guy who loves eating, I guess, and maybe they'll do like a fun twist on a certain trope or something that you don't expect.
That's what I'm always hoping for, but I do feel like it happens very rarely. Maybe I'm a snob, but I
totally get it though.
Mind, and I was hoping for my perceptions to be challenged. But it did not happen here. But hey, you know, I can tell that as a remake, fundamentally, it's amazing. It lets you... This genuinely is going to sound like so bitchy, but it lets you speed things up, which is amazing. Like,
yes.
Incredible quality of life feature. Like, every JRPG should do that. Shout outs to that. Awesome
dude, like,
music,
I was replaying, or I think, like, several years... Because I didn't play Final Fantasy VII as a kid, and I played it maybe, like, 6 years ago or something on Switch when they put it out. And they have, like, I think all the Final Fantasy re-releases... They have that same feature where you can like speed it up, and it's like
it's
a fucking
back, right?
game changer. It's
oh
like
my God.
An older game like that. Like I think it was there was that, and then you can turn off random encounters. You can toggle it on and off, and it made it super playable. I had not a single fucking issue with any of those games. And like even like if I had to grind, it was like, oh whatever. I go to this one area, I just like fight things. I just put on a podcast for like 10 minutes, just like quickly, just like get through battle. Okay, I think I'm ready for the story. Let's focus again. Let's put it back on normal speed so I don't fuck up.
Yeah. I can't play Pokemon without emulators now, because speeding up is just too big. Pokemon is one of the JRPG series that I do like, even though it's bad now. Like, I like it, even though it's bad. But Heart Gold is one of my favourite games of all time. I never played that shit on the DS. If anything, I'm gonna emulate that shit so I can speed up. So good. But yeah, that's what I've been doing.
What about you, Kev?
What about you, Kev?
What am I playing? I was playing a bit of Splatoon 3. Got back into that. The DLC came out. Dipped my toe into the online matchmaking stuff again. I like those games quite a bit. They have like a surprisingly deep story. And like this is gonna sound weird, but like the only thing I can kind of like think to compare it to is Adventure Time. If you like remember that at all, like I didn't watch the whole show really, but like I was aware of like the general story, how it's kind of like cartoony and stuff, but there's just sort of like shockingly like detailed, realistic backstory behind everything. And then like throughout all the games there you learn more about like, oh, there's a reason why that they're all like squids. It's not just a funny concept. There was some apocalypse or something, you know what I mean? You know, so that's a fun game.
You know what's fun? Not to cut you off real quick, but I have people who absolutely like are insane about that game. That's the first time I've ever heard someone talk about that facet of it. Like maybe the core gameplay is just that damn good, but
yeah, a lot of people are I think all about the online mode, which I get. But there's there's a fun like single player like campaign too. It's like a platformer basically because they use the unique mechanics of like shooting a wall to like swim up it and stuff and like take out enemies, take out bosses and stuff like that. It's a fun twist, and I think it's like a Nintendo IP that like feels by far the most modern, I guess. Like the look, the feel of it, and everything. It's like I not that I really want or need them to modernize Mario and give him the Sonic Adventure treatment or something and make him edgier.
I do.
God,
you want that? You want to see him do the kind of crazy pose?
Yeah. Go on then.
I might not hate that, but like Splatoon, it was the first one came out on the Wii U, so it's a relatively, no pun intended, very fresh feeling series, and it's worth a shot if you never dipped your toe into it. And the new DLC was like a really fun take on like a roguelike, where you kind of like start off super weak and you have to like go up these floors and everything, and then you earn experience points. You can upgrade different things, and you want to keep trying and trying until you can get to the top.
Nice. I actually had no idea there was like a legit like single player campaign because I have it on the Wii U, and by the time I got it, was basically like dead on there. So I
don't think you can even play it online anymore on there, can you?
No. So I think the servers are all dead as of this point. So, but if it has single player, I'll at least go through that. Dip my toes in.
Yeah, they are. All the single players are usually good campaigns. They're not like the greatest thing ever, but like it's a fun, like I said, kind of like platformer shooter combination. You know, with the unique mechanic of like the squid swimming thing and stuff makes it super fun.
And the deep lore.
Nice.
And the crazy lore, yeah, the lore
not enough
drops,
people playing Splatoon for the lore. Get on it. Vi Video, where you're at.
Every time I dip my toe back in, like
yeah, you're right.
I'm always like, I always like forget what happens because there's like a lot of it's like buried in like journal entries or like cutscenes that you have to like do a ton of crazy shit for.
Yep.
So yeah, one of these days I do have to sit down and watch like a, the story so far kind of thing.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about you guys?
I've been going back to Friday the 13th since this will be the last year that I will be around. I'm actually getting a lot of footage for a big video I want to make about like aspects of that game. So I've been grinding with that, and then I finally hit a point. I don't know if you guys do this, because when you run a game site and you're doing this stuff, so much of your time playing games is constantly like thinking about content creation. And for me, I just needed a game where I was like, I'm not gonna worry about recording, thinking. I'm just gonna turn my brain off. And I started Hollow Knight, which
Cool.
great game so far, like and it's been perfect for that kind of shut off your mind, just explore the caves, look at how awesome the artwork is and the music.
Gets pretty fucking hard though later on.
Oh yeah. I'm already expecting that, but like I've gotten to a point where I'm pretty comfortable with these, and really I just call them annoying Souls-like, Metroidvania, whatever you want to call them, but like there's still something very chill about that game that I'm just like, you know what, whatever. I can play for 30, 40 minutes, turn my brain off, and just enjoy the scenery. So, yeah, that's been mine so far.
Genuine question, Brian. Silksong, is it real or not? Tell us
Is
now.
what?
Silksong, is it real or not? Is it dead?
I don't know. I don't know.
See, I played this game for the first time last year, so I have the benefit of also not waiting for this like sequel to come out. Because, like, yes, Silksong, I think it's a spin-off or a sequel.
How long has it been?
Sequel.
I mean, it's. I feel like it's been talked about for how long at this point?
It was announced in 2019.
Yeah, that's why I'm like...
The Xbox show in... Yeah, the Xbox show in 2022, they said it was coming out in the next 12 months. It's nearly 24 months now. Fucked up.
I'm not going to hang my hat on it. I'll just say
Yeah.
that, you know?
Fucked up.
Yeah.
Come on, it's no Metroid Prime 4. We still got time, boys.
I was trying to think. I'm like, I feel like there's one example that's even crazier, and that's the one.
Or unless you're like the people,
it's a great game.
Unless you're the people into like the homebrew scene who are waiting for like Paprium on the Genesis for like almost 10 fucking years before that finally came out.
To be fair, like they've at least with Metroid Prime 4, there's been some kind of communication. They told us the game had restarted development, so the timeline lines up. It makes sense for that to come out this year. I think it's this year. Silksong, there's just been nothing. There's been no communication. They said once, next 12 months, and it didn't fucking happen. They said, yeah, we're still working on it. Like, that's it. That's all they've got. And I genuinely feel so bad for Hollow Knight fans. It's messed up.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, like I said, it is an excellent game, so if you haven't tried it, I would definitely say give it a try.
Get into this Hollow Knight thing, guys. It's out of the summer.
Yeah, that's one that's been on my list for a while. I got to be in the mood for the Metroidvanias, but like when I do, I play like 4 in a row. Then I'm like, all right, I'm good for another year and a half.
Yeah, it's such a great, like, for me, it melds a lot of like things I like about video games into like one thing, because you got the 2D side-scrolling platformer, you got the exploration. Sometimes you have RPG elements, like in Castlevania. You know, it's just like it takes all that stuff and puts it into one game.
Yeah.
Come on, we don't have anyone
Does
here
that.
who's like, I hate that term. It should just be an action adventure open for adventure. Don't. It's not just Metroid.
Who was it? Someone tried coining. Someone in the industry. I think one of the Japanese. Someone at Nintendo tried to call it a search action.
Search action is
And I'm not gonna lie. I don't hate it. Metroidvania is not a good name. Let's be honest. We can use it. It's fine. But everyone's so hostile to search action. Search action's fine. You search, there's action, you know.
I'm all for search action, because Metroidvania, I hate that name. Actually, like,
it's bad.
One of my like favorite articles I I think I ever wrote at Hard Drive was like a Metroidvania fan refers to platformers as Mario Sonics.
Mario Sonics, yeah.
So you're just taking like two examples of a genre. Like a shooter was called a Halo Doom, I think.
More shit like that coming soon to PaletteSwap.site.
Yeah.
Follow PaletteSwap Mag.
Sorry for the cut, everybody, because I am not good at transitions. But you know what? You should head on over to patreon.com/DrinkABeerandPlayAGame, where for as little as $2 a month, you can ask a question that we'll answer on each and every single one of these Power Hour podcasts. First up, from Burned Retinas. It's a one-on-one home run derby between Jim and Bry. Out of 25 pitches each, who is socking the most dingers?
Jim, I'll let you answer.
It's probably going to be you. I will say it would probably be you because even though you've played, 3 games of baseball in your life, maybe, you're not going to have the form, but you're going to have that, we'll say it farm boy strength. We'll keep it a little more political for the guests we have. But you'll hit those dingers. I was always more of a contact guy.
And Brian, I saw you've been going to the gym a lot lately. Posting on Twitter, hitting up that gym early in the morning.
Got to, man. Got to work off the beers. That's all
Yeah.
it is. I'm still working off the COVID weight, so what are you gonna do?
There you go. But yeah, you're gearing up for this.
Mm-hmm. No, here's the deal. To Jim's point, I played baseball as a kid, found it to be boring. I liked hitting the ball, but I would lay in the outfield because I was like, I don't feel like waiting here for kids that can't hit it. Other than pickup games, haven't done it. I've done a few games with work friends. I've now coached my sons both times he's played baseball, and it's torture for me because I still don't like it. But I'm fine. Once you just get down the contact, there's no way. If I'm getting down contact, I'm hitting it a lot further than Jim every time.
I can't even argue that. I'm going to talk about Jimmy drunk crying about Toriyama in a New Orleans bathroom. One time I made the All-Star team, and I was always an outfield guy, so that means I never had to do anything. And then they're like, hey, why don't you go play second? And I went, no, I shouldn't play second. But they
You're
stuck
not
me
gonna
there
like
and he
that.
played, and every single ball went by, and it was like everyone just going, what the fuck are you doing? Little 10-year-old
Oh my
me
god,
crying.
dude. So many bad memories.
Not scarred. I don't carry it with me to this day.
I was so
It's fine.
fucking bad at everything like that. It's just like, all right, I guess I'll get out there and do bad. Be very embarrassing. But
So
I
what
guess
about
I have to do it.
you two guys? Who do you think would be the best?
Between us?
Yeah.
Almost every word you guys have just said is an alien language.
I was gonna
to
say,
me, so
Brad,
I'm-
have you even ever played baseball?
No.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah.
I don't know how it
All right,
works.
so cricket bat and far fence, I'm out. I can't do this.
Yeah.
It's not.
Kevin
It's
wins
not
by
fair. There's a
default.
cultural advantage I have, and I'm still very bad. So Brad might actually still get it.
Yeah. If it's a drunken knife fight in a bar, I win for free. But Kevin gets baseball by default.
Yeah.
There we go.
The two most beautiful words in the English language.
Default. And next up from Todd Howard Sucks. What is the worst dining experience you have ever had?
See,
That is a very good question.
I could go with the atypical, I just had shitty food, but I think of something like the wife and I when we went to Niagara Falls, way back in the day on the Canadian side. One of the good, supposedly real good restaurants. It was overlooking the falls. I got a steak, which is what you do when you go to these nicer restaurants, and it was probably $80, way more than I should have spent back in that time, and it was the worst, overcooked, even though, you say how to cook it. It was just dog shit. I don't know what was wrong with it. They didn't know how to season it. There were so many issues I had, and it was more that ruined that whole, being able to see the falls and things, and it was just a waste of money. Whatever she got, I forget what she got, that sucked too. So it was more... The expectation was so high because it was highly rated place, so that threw me off. So as far as I walked away actually disappointed, I would pick that because I could pick one where it's I spent $8 on a shitty taco and it was shitty, but then
I think those tourist traps are always bad because
always.
it's they're just riding on oh, people will come here, we can overprice it, and then if they say the food sucks, it's yeah, but you got to look at a waterfall, didn't you?
Dude, to that point, same deal. When we were in Rome for our honeymoon, we made the mistake of one of the more touristy places we went to. Worst food I had in Rome. Met up with some buddies who knew more local places. Best food in the world. But the touristy one that everyone recommended, same deal. You're how is this bad here? And yeah, avoid the touristy spots. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like an example because I'm like, there's bad food, but there's also like a bad experience. I don't know. I think like I can keep it in theme of JRPGs here actually. When I went to Japan 5 years ago, amazing food. Every place was a fucking home run. Just like great stuff left to right. And this was, I guess, just by comparison to a lot of great food and dining experiences in Japan, the one meal I had that was just say mediocre and by comparison, I guess, bad was the Square Enix Cafe.
Really?
I got some like expensive fucking like hamburger or some kind of sandwich or something, and like it was just like so bland and dry. And compared to like all the other food I had, even at like fucking 7-Eleven, everything was better. And the food there was like such a disappointment by comparison. And I know some people I've told that to have said like, oh well, that's just par for the course with their business models these days. But
Yeah, they're one of the English teams over cooking instead.
What about you, Brad?
Man, mine's not as extravagant as Kevin, but the most recent bad experience I can think of is I went to a dessert place near where I used to live in Reading called Creams, and they're usually real good. And I have hay fever. I get really bad hay fever in the summer, and this was news to me. But I got a banana milkshake, and they go hard on like the real natural ingredients in that place and stuff, and you could definitely taste like the real traces of banana. I don't eat a lot of banana because I don't like it, but I like the flavor. I like the milkshakes, and I had this one, and it gave me like the mother of all hay fever attacks. Like my eyes started swelling up and like watering, my nose was all runny. I looked like I've been crying for like 3 hours straight. I probably like I've just been broken up with in this fucking like a table next to like a bunch of kids as well. Like a bunch of kids were just looking at me like, what's going on with that guy's face? And I'm just like, I don't know what happened, but this one banana milkshake at this dessert place fucking took me out in front of everyone. I've not trifled with it since. It's like it's the closest I get to like drinking a beer that really kicks your ass for me.
Yeah. What about you, Chambers?
I think like the last one that really sticks out was just like after a buddy's wedding. I was in the wedding party and we were doing the breakfast the next day, and I get steak and eggs because I was like, I need something to soak up all the booze and alcohol and everything from the night before. And I'm just eating it, and something is just off about it. It's like skirt steak. It's overcooked. The entire time I sat at the table, I basically just kept saying they fed me dollar store steak because it just tasted like pure rubber, pure garbage. And it was one of the absolute worst like steak experiences I've ever had. And I forget where we went, but it was like a pretty decent spot, like food wise. So I was kind of glad I didn't really pay for it, but I was just like, man, what a disappointment. So yeah, kind of.
has anybody had an
story.
experience that was just like the food was like fine or good or whatever, but like something like insane happened?
I'm sure it has, but I can't remember. I've seen waiters trip over with trays full of food and shit before, but not near me. I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
Nobody was at a restaurant where they were getting robbed or anything?
I've been at restaurants where people broke into full-on fights and, shit's getting thrown all around.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's called any
probably
bar
the
in
closest.
Northeast Philly.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
I kind of wish I'd gone to a restaurant in the days of like flash mobs and Harlem Shakes. Remember when that shit was in, when people would just break out into random shit? I wish I could have seen that just once.
Nice. No, I like that question, though. That's a good one.
Yeah, that wraps up the questions for this week, though. So once again, thank you to all the patrons out there. A big shout out to Randall Dickman for signing up at the $10 tier.
Nice.
So that is Randy rejoining the Patreon. So he's the guy who gave us Bionic Commando. He gave us Tiptoes, Brian. So now that he resigns, does he get more picks? I don't know. We'll have to talk internally about that. But what do you call it? Once again, thank you to everyone for the support. Head on over there, check out the game review requests, the questions for the podcast, bonus segments, and all that good stuff. And if you're listening on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube, make sure to check out all the other platforms. Give those subscriptions, leave those comments, leave those likes, star reviews, all that stuff. Anything will help.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. We truly, truly appreciate it. All right, Chambers. So we've been covering emulators for a little while, but seems like they're help saving game preservation and allowing some more flexibility thanks to PlayStation. So why don't you explain what's been going on?
So, as of right now, this still kind of seems like a rumor, but this comes to us from PC Focus, saying, from LinkedIn, it was revealed that PlayStation are strengthening relationship with PC XX2 emulator workers to bring more PlayStation 2 games to the PS5. They comment that the association would also be with third parties to make more backward-compatible titles, working with Sony Entertainment and PlayStation to bring more games from PS1, PS2, and PSP to the PS5, per implicit conversions. So,
Jim, did you see the community note at the bottom there?
Oh, fuck me. They are
I
not.
just want to read that. It says they are not, quote, strengthening relationships with PSSX2 emulation workers.
2 more seconds of research is all I need to do.
It was probably like just put on there.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, good title. That was from like earlier today.
Yeah.
Man. Already community noted. Well, shit.
Would be cool though, right? I why is it that hard to get this stuff on there? I thought that like this would be like a easy shoo-in to have like a PS2 game playable on a PS5. Like, what's the problem? Am I just like dumb?
Well,
Are they dumb? Who's dumb?
I mean, I'm definitely dumb, as we saw right now. But, I mean, what do you call it? Yeah, PS2's always been a bitch for them to get the games onto, like, anything. Like, the PS3s with the PS2 backwards compatibility, like, die left and right. I don't even think they even brought that many games to the PS4, and PS5 barely has anything. Like, I know the PS3 was a bitch to program for, but...
I did hear that, yeah.
But you never really hear that much about the 2, so I don't get it.
And they mentioned PS1 as well. Your PSP.
I did a video back in the day about like a lot of Nintendo's weird business practices and like why they're so funny about emulators and emulation. And the biggest thing I heard back from people was that like any kind of emulation, strange as it may seem to us, is like really, it's seen as quite disrespectful to them, and like they're a lot more kind of conservative about that. And that's why like Microsoft and Xbox, for example, are actually really good with game preservation. They're actually really good with like emulating stuff and bringing stuff back from previous generations. But like unless there's some kind of huge cultural shift, the Japanese market is probably just going to continue being pretty... They're going to keep bringing the hammer down to this stuff, I think. I don't think it's going to change. It's so weird. I don't get it, but, you know...
I never thought of it that way, but that's a good point.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that will and just has to change. I mean, obviously the ability to emulate is never going to go away. We just talked about Nintendo with Yuza and that whole lawsuit, but I don't know. I feel like PlayStation... If there's anyone from Japan that's going to be a little bit more allowing of this, it would be them. We know it's not going to be Nintendo. That shit will never happen.
No.
But so maybe if PlayStation makes enough waves, and maybe in their attempt to really help bridge the gap of making things more backwards compatible and working with their online streaming and figuring out a way to bring PS2 and PSP games, maybe it is something. I mean, here's the deal. A rumor like this probably doesn't start out of nowhere. There's probably some shred of truth to it. So I really hope it happens because, yeah, I have to end up emulating a shit ton of PlayStation games on those emulators because they work so fucking nice. Like, and CD-based games, we know, last fucking terribly because nobody takes care of their shit.
Yeah, like Disc Rod is a thing, and it's starting to... Like, there's a lot of people out there who's like, I've never seen it, but it's like, yeah, you're also a crazy collector. You take care of your shit. You're not like everyone who's just like finding their own collections in their grandmom's attic and going, oh, let me try and play this, and then nothing goddamn works.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Brad, because I never thought... I was going to be snarky, be like, well, Microsoft has all this time to work on backwards compatibility because they never make anything new. But it's like, it really could just be an American thing where they actually care about it and want to just make sure that we... Obviously, they're making their money from it, but still, they give us what we want. Just give us what we want. People keep clamoring for this.
It's a weird one, because in a way, you could argue that, like, by virtue of that, what it means is that the Japanese studios, they kind of hold their art in a higher regard. They have more care for it, and I get that. And I appreciate they're very prideful about it, and I can respect that because they've obviously pumped out a lot of the greatest games ever made. But it's also like, if your game is so good, why not let more people fucking play it, right? Why not? I think of that meme all the time with the dog holding the disc in its mouth, and it's like, don't play, only remember, you know, or whatever it is. Yeah.
Well, it's not like they were hits. They only sold 150 million units. So why would they ever want to... Who would ever want that?
True.
I will say, like, I am a fan of, like, the NSO catalog. I think, like, at this point, it's, like, become a lot more impressive. And allegedly, it's supposed to carry over into the Switch 2 or whatever that's going to be. Because, I mean, if they are able to keep this and start a new launch with this, like, library of insane titles would be, like, crazy.
We'll see.
Like, it's still weird that it's like you can only play it on a subscription service and like everything's there. That being said, the plus side to that though is like, you know, for example, like, oh, I may not have like wanted to buy Golden Sun on there, but like I had this subscription. It's like dirt cheap because I split the family plan with like 8 people, and I got to play. Yeah, I got to play Golden Sun, and you know, for something I was paid like $10 a year for.
Yeah, exactly.
What if they do it again, though? What if they do it to us again?
I really don't.
Brand new service, and like every 4 months you get one Jalico game. You get like Brawl Brothers again.
Mm-hmm. That would be very upsetting. Very. It would be
very par for the course for Nintendo. So.
Yeah.
And we would all bitch, and we would still stay with it because we still like the goddamn company.
Yeah. I think like the reason I made an exception for like the Switch Online is because like it was kind of a different take on it, because the Wii U did the exact same thing the Wii did, was just you can buy a virtual console game. Mm-hmm. Again, it was the same thing. This is different, and it feels like this would be easier to kind of carry over potentially. Again, fingers crossed, but you know, I know it's like not every game is on there. There's plenty of classics that aren't on there, at least yet. But you know, it's something that I've come to appreciate. You know, it's pop on there, and there's a bunch of different stuff you can try out.
And it is a bunch of like random stuff that like you never would have given the time of day before either. But you're just sitting there like, well, this is free. Maybe I'll pop this on and see if I like it.
Yeah, like Japan got Mother 3 for Game Boy Advance, and then we got Snakes and Ladders for NES.
I mean, we made out, obviously.
Yeah, Blast Core.
That last cutscene of Snakes and Ladders fucking kills me every time.
So sad.
What story.
Sad.
And speaking of Nintendo Online, just recently it was another goddamn Mar10 day, and March 10th, Mar10 as they like to do, but they had some big announcements. They had a special Nintendo Direct. So Paper Mario, 1000-Year Door, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, Dr. Mario Golf, and Mario Tennis all coming to online, and a new Super Mario Brothers movie releasing in 2026.
Let's go!
Who do you think is going to voice Mario?
I think they're going to change it to somebody else this time.
I'm feeling Tom Holland.
He's going to be Yoshi or something. I could see that.
True.
Yeah. I mean, here's the deal. When I saw this announcement, for me, I'm happy about Luigi's Mansion 2. And the Game Boy games, I'm like, okay, kind of. It's one of those, like we were just talking about with the online shit, like probably should have already been there. I don't think that's going to make waves.
That's a lot of these announcements, it's like, it's cool, but it's like, this wasn't there? Like Dr. Mario for Game Boy wasn't on. I think it's because the NES one's on there, but like this is the one I played when I was a kid.
Yeah, so it's like,
yeah, I actually didn't realize that wasn't on there either. It's like, that seemed like a slam dunk.
I feel like it's just an extremely underwhelming thing. And I've been saying to Jim, like, I'm really curious what is the wait for the Switch 2 announcement. And I was thinking maybe it's the release of a new Super Mario Brothers game tied to the movie. But if that's even relatively true, that means it's not till 2026, and that would be fucking insane. So, I don't know. It just felt very blah.
Like, I mean, yeah. The big one was 1000-Year Door. Is that not the first GameCube game to be on the service?
Oh no, that's just a full-on remake. That's like
a remake. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. What the weird thing, and this is the kind of frustrating thing about it, is like for GameCube, they're just like remastering the games and selling them. But there's no GameCube service like there is for like N64, Super NES, and everything.
And like,
exactly.
There should be.
People are hyped for 1000-Year Door, but I don't think anyone out there is arguing that it needed a remake. Like, because that art style is pretty timeless. You really could have just put it on Virtual Console or whatever, Switch Online, and like that's fine. Like, you know, it's the whole. It's not quite as bad, but it reminds me a bit of Tropical Freeze going from Wii U to Switch and like remastering it and selling it back to you for like however much. Like
full $60 price tag.
It just went on sale this week for the first time ever, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's funny.
I think like the one thing about like I'm honestly not even sure I'm going to get it, and this is a game I love. Like that, I love the first 2 Paper Mario games a lot. I think a couple reasons is like, you know, the Mario RPG announcement was such a big fucking deal. I love that game growing up. The remake was great. It nailed it. It didn't sand down any of the weirdness or any of the edges. It just like polished it up, and here it is, you know, and it was beautiful. Great new soundtrack and everything. But then they announced like a remake of Paper Mario 1000-Year Door, and it's like, oh, I I guess I was kind of excited for Mario RPG, and I guess I'll take this too. But it was like, it totally took the wind out of the sails of like Paper Mario. And again, I love the game, but I'm also wondering why are they not doing this for the first Paper Mario? And why are they going straight to the second one?
Yeah, didn't Paper Mario get put on the N64 expansion, right? But yeah,
it is, yeah. But
it's
like
just
again,
on there.
I guess like the Mario RPG was like conspicuously absent from the Super Nintendo catalog, so I guess they did a remake. But like they could have done that for Paper Mario, because like I don't particularly care for the new ones, and like I did see like screenshots and stuff from like some of, like, for example, like the new one on Switch. I think it's Origami King, and it looks fucking great. The art, like the graphics for the new Paper Mario games look amazing. And there was times where it's like, it sure would be nice if this was like one of the old ones. So like the fact that they're taking like this really amazing new refined art style that really shines, and then putting that on like one of the best old games, I think that's great. Like, will I get it? Maybe, but like, I think for people who missed out on it, it's a great chance to try it out. And I'm excited to see like if they add anything new potentially. So
it is weird that they didn't do like what they did with Mario All-Stars Collection, and like they spruced them all up, made them look better, cleaned them all up, and I know we got 3 of them for that one, but you could at least do Paper Mario 1 and 2 on there.
Yeah, that would have been cool. I don't know. Yeah, it is kind of strange, but you know, and again, I guess they're just for GameCube. They're not doing a service because it's like at this point, it's like there's like Tales of Symphonia, Baten Kaitos, Pikmin 1 and 2, Metroid Prime, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door now. Like a lot of the GameCube classics, and Mario Sunshine is part of Mario 3D All-Stars. A lot of the classics are just like being like remade with a fresh coat of like HD paint.
Melee.
That would be so cool. I know they'll never do it. I know they never will. Well, who knows though? I mean, I never thought in a million years they would go back to New Mario RPG. They've avoided that game like the fucking plague.
Melee's different, I promise you.
Yeah, I know that's like the Smash Bros. They're very much like play the new one.
Yeah.
Play the new one.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the Spurg outrage that the Melee players would have though? Because every like Switch game has a little bit of input lag, and like you just give something that they are just the tiniest bit they're not used to, even if you re-release another GameCube controller and shit like that for the 5th time. But
I'll be there.
It would never be good enough for them.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a pro player. I have fun with Smash, you know, and honestly, I use the fucking Pro controller for Ultimate. I sometimes I'll use a GameCube, but I'm fine with the Pro controller. Like I do notice if my TV is delayed for some reason, I'll notice that. But like a lot of the other stuff, like for like Smash and inputs and stuff, that's like something like that just goes over my head.
As it should, because as we know, gamers tend to get mad about very silly shit out there.
Yeah, they are a quite fickle bunch.
I mean, gamers, it is your bit, but what's the latest thing that gamers are all up in arms about these days?
Right, hot off the presses. So, recently, what do you call it? Oh, this past Sunday, Oscars were out again. And, what do you call it? There's a tweet from Classic FM saying, last night, 39-year-old composer Ludwig Göransson won his 2nd Academy Award for his score to Oppenheimer. In a heartfelt speech, he thanked his parents for giving him his foundation in music, where he goes on to say, thank you for making me play piano and not giving me video games. And
he said guitars and drums.
And yeah, that's right. And so, yeah, to my parents, thank you for giving me guitar and drum machines instead of video games.
That makes me fucking sick.
The gamers are bitching.
How dare he? I mean, here's the deal. I listened to it. The dude is awkward as fuck.
Should we kill him?
I mean, no. I just what shocks me is, you know, fairly young looking dude like that. I would expect this shit still from like older generations. I'm actually shocked that's even something someone would throw out. It was kind of a throwaway thing, but he looks like the type of dork that would like try and like throw that out there. Like, I feel like gaming is so accepted in most circles that especially as someone as like a composer to kind of like throw that out there, I think it's just it's a weird thing. I don't think it's an indication of like how most people actually still feel, but yeah, people spurging out a little bit about it, and I don't know. Is it justified? Are gamers a little too sensitive when they hear someone bash their gaming?
You know what I do think, and like I actually was confusing him for the Death Stranding because at first I'm like, what do you mean? I thought he composed a video game, but it was Ludwig Forsell composed Death Stranding. That's what I was like confusing him with. But I think like the reason maybe we're all so up in arms is like the hard truth is like there probably is some truth to what he's saying a little bit, you know. Like I think that isolating yourself from your peers and not having fun is stupid when especially when you're a kid.
Yeah,
that sucks. Like if you're like if you don't want to play games, that's fine, but like if you're like just the idea of like spending your childhood like just honing a craft only, it's kind of a bummer, isn't it? Like you should be having fun and like enjoying your youth, but like at the same time I do think that a lot of people, you know, games can be very, very distracting. Like all of us are fortunate enough to have like built up some form of like revenue or some form of like making stuff around our hobby of games, like we were saying. But like if we didn't have this, it would be like, you know, it would be a little bit different. Like if we obviously there's plenty of people play games who don't turn it into quote unquote content, but like it's there have been times in my life I've looked back and thought like I wish I wasn't so fucking lazy and like maybe got my start at certain things a little bit earlier in my life. And part of the reason for that was because I was just goofing off with my friends or just playing video games. Like there are times where like I, you know, think about a game you put like fucking 200 hours into, and sometimes you look at that playtime and be like, I could have like learned a new language, I could have like picked up a new instrument, something.
I could have done one push-up in that time.
A whole fucking push-up, and now that's just gone, like tears in the rain.
And it'll never happen again. I will never have that chance either.
Yeah. You missed it.
But yeah, I mean, like, to your point, it's like, this guy, you kind of have to also expect, like, he's also, like, at the top of his tier in what he does. So, yeah, he probably did dedicate everything. He probably loved it and dedicated everything to that. So, I mean, yeah, but does it suck he bashes one thing to celebrate another thing? Like, sure. But, like, say, like, the next MLG and some guy wins the entire goddamn thing for, like, Street Fighter Alpha 3 again. Like, do you think he's going to go up there and be like, you know, if he said, I'm glad my parents gave me a controller and not a guitar, and, like, do you think music Twitter would freak out like this?
Probably not. I don't think anybody else would care as much as gamers care about gaming.
Maybe it's the thing that's the holdover of being, like, always being thought as being nerdy or maybe bullied for it and shit like that, so you have to, like,
I think there's a little bit of that, yeah. Defensiveness, because it's like, I had to fight tooth and nail to, like, you know, have this hobby and not be made fun of, but I don't know.
Yeah, people seem to tie, like, their, hey, we all have our escapisms, right? Like,
yeah.
I haven't sat down and watched real TV unless I'm literally watching a sport or, like, I'm catching up on something on, you know, one of the streaming services. Instead, you know, I'll play a game. Like, that's my thing. Some people will just look mindlessly at YouTube, TikTok, whatever. Like, you'll scroll that for hours. Like, we all need whatever it is. If someone's just reading goofy-ass fiction novels and there's no actual value to learning, is that not a waste of time? So it's like you could argue all of it, but yeah, gamers still have that stigma of, like, even though it's so widely accepted, they get, like, kind of butthurt. It's like, don't call this, like, the bad thing. It's like, well, it is all bad in context of what are you doing with it? You know, if it's just for escapism, fine. But if you're putting aside doing shit in life for it, I can see the argument.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a moment and just say that, like, I don't think I mean it didn't, like, I think he was literally saying, I don't think he meant any malice by, I mean, I don't fucking know the guy, I don't want to read too much of what he's saying, but like I think he's just saying video games are a great distraction and you can end up spending a lot of time with them, and thank God I was able to stay focused, because I definitely do fucking think about this sometimes. Like, you know, I play guitar and I'm a writer and I've done a lot of stuff in my life, and I definitely could have done a lot of more quote unquote productive or mainstream successful stuff in my life if video games weren't in them. But that's not a slight, that's not video games fucking suck, it's just they're too fun and too cool and I want to spend too much fucking time in them. And that's the vibe I got. I kind of think it's what you're saying, is that they're almost too cool and I'm glad I didn't get sucked into that world. But that's not to say they suck and are cringe and you should never play them. you know.
Like I knew like people like in the stand-up comedy scene who, because like that is such a fucking grind, going out there hitting mics as often as possible. And like I knew a couple people who told me that
Yeah.
like they just like cold turkey stopped playing video games because like they wanted to just be productive and like get out there and do stuff. And they were like really into gaming. And like I don't think it stuck.
Yeah.
Like if I remember correctly, I remember seeing them like eventually get back into it. But like for a while, they just were like, I had to stop playing. I stopped. It's like I'm
They
really kind of
relapsed.
focusing on like they relapsed hard, and like it's one of those times where it's like, you know, it's a rare case where you're like, okay, good, yeah,
Yeah.
you were like maybe like that, because I don't think that's a good way to live. Like
Because
I've definitely like thought about it sometimes, but like I think just the constant like, you know, it just that's just a joyless existence.
yeah, there's more of a difference. Like, more people just play video games as a hobby than pick up the guitar as a hobby. More people who pick up guitar are gonna like really dedicate themselves to that and try and make a living out of it, whereas video games for most people is more just a hobby. So I think on a kind of fundamental level, developing video games as a hobby is potentially more, it's going to sound really dramatic, I don't mean to sound like this, potentially more dangerous to your long-term artistic success than something like learning guitar at a hobbyist level or whatever. But even then, that's not to say they're bad and they suck, it's just that they're more addictive and, you know, they demand a lot more of your time. Like, you watch a movie, that's an hour and a half. You play The Witcher 3, that's 100 hours of your life.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, even to both of your points, like I play in a band and I play drums, but there's so many times in my youth I could have like just been sitting down there and like practicing rudiments and shit like that. But I was like, practice is boring. I can play this video game.
Mm-hmm.
I could be a lot better than I am now. But it's also like I would still probably be in the same spot where I'm playing on a Tuesday night to just the other bands to no crowd, and it would be like, would have all that work been worth it? So maybe it's good I still like had that balance in life. Who knows?
You had some fun. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly. But no, Jim, I mean, I always like these gamers mad. This is definitely a little bit more tame, but gamers, you see shit like this.
By
you're always
comparison
gonna
to some
see
other things
someone-
these days,
Oh,
yeah.
for sure. I mean, like I said, every time someone sparks an opinion about putting down gamers, just let it roll off you. Don't even think about it. That's all.
It's my personality, it is my life, and you will not be smirching.
But Jamer, speaking of music and gaming, you chose this week's Which Is Better. So what are we listening to? What are we comparing here tonight?
All right, Brian. So, we all love our themes. We all love our legendary series. And what more series out there are legendary and have legendary music than Mario and Sonic the Hedgehog? But almost overlooked in a lot of ways were their handheld spin-offs. So, we have two songs we're going to be taking a look at here. First up will be the Overworld theme from Super Mario Land. And next up will be the Bridge Zone from Sonic the Hedgehog on, well, Master System, Game Gear, same thing. All right, we are back. Everyone has listened to the songs. Let's go round robin here. So, Fudj, what are you gonna go with?
I prefer Bridge Zone from Sonic. I'm almost always liable to go with Sonic music when it's put up against anything because it's the fucking goat. I like the Mario Overworld song. It's very jolly. It's very nice, but it's a bit I don't know. It's a bit repetitive. It's a bit game show. You know, I don't know if that's Koji. I don't know if that's Koji Kondo. I assume it's Koji Kondo, and he's a legend. But I don't vibe with all of his stuff. And the Sonic song, the reverb does a lot for it. The kind of like faint echo. It's got a bit more depth. Got a little bit of melancholy. It's just got better vibes. You know, it's not quite as simplistic. I like it more. I think it's better.
Respect it, Kevin.
It's a tough call. Yeah, I think I like Brad's use of the word jolly to describe Mario Land's theme. Definitely fits. I didn't play the 8-bit Sonic games, the handheld ones, but yeah, the Sonic games always do have like great soundtracks. At least up to I haven't played a new Sonic game in a long time, but like whether it's like the Genesis games, you got Michael Jackson in the studio for Sonic 3, or you got the butt rock sounds of like Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. This is not quite as like good as those. I don't know. I think I like them about the same, to be honest. I know it's like not a good answer, but I know it's boring. It's boring. But I think that I don't know. There's something charming to them both. Like Mario Land is a interesting game. Also, not on the Switch service yet for some reason.
Oh,
but at least we got Mario Golf for Game Boy and Mario Tennis. But yeah, I think that yeah, they're about even for me.
All right, right.
So here's my problem with the Sonic. I know it's a better song. There's no way I think you can debate that. But when I hear it, all I hear is the Full House theme and the Janet Jackson song. So I know this song we've talked about before, Jim. It actually kind of inspired Janet Jackson. But I never realized how much it sounds just like the Full House theme. And I do
Wait,
think
this
Full
song
House
inspired
came
Janet
out-
Jackson?
Yeah, the song Everywhere I Go. Everywhere I go.
No, this track specifically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they
What?
directly ripped it off.
I
can
had
hear it,
no
yeah.
idea. That's
I
crazy.
can hear it, yeah.
Yeah, and then but Full House, which came out before it, it's the same exact beat as the Full House soundtrack. So that fucks with me every time I hear it because
Yeah,
I'm
Full
like,
House is slower, but it is the same. Yeah, it is kind of the same groove. You're right.
and if that kind of fucks me up, where I'm like, ooh, it feels like he was kind of inspired by that. So I feel like with originality, the Super Mario Land, I was like surprised how much I liked that, and I loved that game as a kid. So just for that reason, a little more originality, I'm gonna give the edge to Super Mario Land.
I hated that show growing up, Full House, and like every time that theme song came on, it was just like I would just groan.
Well, now you can enjoy it in the Bridge Zone.
Oh crap!
And Kevin never played the game. But fuck, man, this is tough. Cause like, yeah, I'm like, Sonic is the better composed song, I think, but I just can't help how like just happy the goddamn overworld theme is from Mario Land. Like that's like the first time I played was maybe 2 years ago, and I've been humming it ever since. So I think if I could just get an earworm like that, I hate going against Sonic when it comes to music, but this time I got to give it to Mario.
And here, like I said, if anyone says Sonic, I understand. I fully agree, but make sure you listen to that Full House, and that's all I want you bastards to think about every time you hear that.
Son of a bitch. And yeah, like the 8-bit version does have Green Hill, but it's like, it's all right. Like you're going to listen to that and be like, why am I just not listening to the Genesis version? So
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is an all-time like greatest of all time like gaming track ever.
Ooh.
Oh,
Green
yeah.
Hill Zone.
Oh yeah.
Though I like
It's
Emerald
tough.
Hill Zone even better.
I mean, we talked about. I think that was one of our first when we came up with the idea, which is better was like Green Hill Zone versus obviously, Super Mario Brothers main theme.
Was it the Mario theme or like Super Mario World's like first level? Something like that.
I think it was the original Super Mario because it's like, damn, like those are tough. But that's the fun of this, right? Like everyone's not going to agree. But yeah, you guys, I see Brad going with the Bridge Zone. I like it.
Is that just the UK bias where they're all about where they love the Master System over there? But I think he's actually a little too young to have that seep in, isn't he?
Yeah, the Master System is a fucking relic of the ancient past for me. I never grew up with that shit. I don't think I knew who or what Sonic was until I saw Adventure 1 in boxes and shops and shit. So, yeah, I'm sorry. And I don't think there's I don't know. I don't think there's any like big Sega or Sonic bias in the UK. I think most of us think it's cringe over here.
That's awesome. You actually need to like get to like guys like our age group, like getting near 40 and over, where they're like, "Oh, the Nintendo wasn't a thing for our generation. It was all about the Master System." And like they're like the hardest defenders you'll see on gaming Twitter about it.
Yeah, probably. It was hard making that fucking Dreamcast video, the big Dreamcast rank, because I didn't know any of these fucking things were. I was just reading what other people wrote, and I know what this shit is.
You're like, I was 3.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, but guys, we want to say thank you so much for hopping on. Be sure, check out all their links below. Give them the support of PaletteSwap. These guys put out great articles, great YouTube videos. Support them on Patreon if you can. And we always appreciate you coming on. Can't wait to have you
One more
on.
time.
Oh.
Where are those links, boys?
At PaletteSwap Mag on social media. Just search us up, give us a follow, share our stuff if you think it's funny. Patreon.com/PaletteSwapMag if you want to get a lot of cool extra bonus stuff and support independent gaming journalism and comedy. And then I think we're at PaletteSwap on Twitter, Brad? Or not Twitter, YouTube?
On YouTube, PaletteSwap or PaletteSwap Mag works. I'm pretty sure we come up for both, but we're technically PaletteSwap, but we have Mag in the URL because YouTube's weird and funky like that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So with that, we want to say thank you all. If you have been watching this, make sure you hit the subscription, you hit the notification bell so you can see when each one of our new shorts and our new videos are up. And if you're listening on iTunes and Spotify, hit the subscription, give us a 5-star, and even if you want to bash us in the comments, we'll read it on each and every one of these Power Hour podcasts. With that, I want to say have a good night, everyone. And cheers.
Cheers, everybody.